The sky above Houston turned an odd shade of purple on an otherwise normal Tuesday afternoon. Air traffic controllers stared at their screens in confusion as an unidentified object slowed from impossible speeds and came to a gentle stop 20 miles above the city. Phones at NASA, the Pentagon, and the White House rang all at once. Within an hour, the news spread across the globe. Humanity was no longer alone. Captain Eric Mason stood on the deck of the U.S. Lincoln, watching the live feed from the space telescopes. The alien ship looked like a giant silver teardrop, smooth and reflective, about the size of a football stadium. No visible weapons, no opening hatches, just a silent, waiting presence. "Captain, we have new orders," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks, handing him a sealed envelope. "You're being reassigned. Helicopter will be here in 10 minutes. Eric read the orders twice to make sure he understood. He was to lead the military component of a first contact team. The president had requested him specifically, based on his record of calm decision-making during the Taiwan crisis 3 years earlier. 12 hours later, Eric sat in a conference room at the United Nations, alongside Lisa Warren, a State Department diplomatic specialist, known for her work with isolated indigenous tribes. They were joined by representatives from Russia, China, India, and the European Union. "The vessel has responded to our broadcasts," said General Frank Peters. "They've requested a meeting with Earth representatives. They specifically asked for neutral ground." Lisa leaned forward. "What language did they use?" "All of them," the general replied. "They sent the same message in 147 different Earth languages simultaneously. The neutral ground chosen was a meadow in Switzerland. Military forces created a perimeter 5 miles out, while the contact team waited in a hastily constructed pavilion." Eric felt strangely calm, though his fingers kept checking the pistol at his side. A weapon he knew would be useless if the aliens meant harm. Lisa arranged simple gifts on a table: water, fruit, artwork, and books representing human culture. "Whatever happens," she said to Eric, "we make history today." A bright light appeared outside, and a section of air seemed to bend and fold. A single figure stepped through what must have been some kind of portal. The alien was humanoid, standing about 7 feet tall with silvery blue skin that seemed to shimmer. It had 4 arms, a slender build, and a face with large almond-shaped eyes that looked almost kind. "I am Xandar," it said in perfect English, its voice melodic and calming. "Envoy of the Galactic Collective. I bring mornings and opportunities." Lisa stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth. I am Lisa Warren, and this is Captain Eric Mason. We represent humanity in this first meeting." Xandar bowed slightly. "Your species stands at a crossroads. This makes our meeting both urgent and dangerous." Over the next hour, Xandar explained that the Galactic Collective had been observing Earth for centuries. Humans were special, he said, one of only 4 known species with what he called divine potential. "What exactly does that mean?" Eric asked, recording every word. "Your brains have evolved in a unique pattern," Xandar said. "You can potentially manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe through thought alone. In simpler terms, you could become like gods." Lisa and Eric exchanged glances. This sounded more like fantasy than science. Sensing their doubt, Xandar raised one of his 4 hands. A small ball of light formed above his palm, then transformed into a perfect miniature of the Earth, showing real-time weather patterns and movement. "We can do this because we evolved alongside a species like yours," he explained. "We learned from them, but they destroyed themselves before reaching their full potential." Xandar's expression grew solemn. "When humans collapse, even the gods shudder. Your species is heading toward disaster. Environmental, social, political. If you fall while carrying this potential, it could tear a hole in reality itself." World leaders joined by video link, asking questions, expressing doubts. Xandar answered patiently, offering to provide scientific proof of his claims. As night fell, Eric watched Lisa deep in conversation with the alien. Something about this felt both terrifying and right, like humanity had been waiting for this moment without knowing it. "Captain," Lisa called him over. "Xandar has invited us to visit his ship tomorrow. He wants to show us something about our own biology that we've never seen before." Eric nodded. "Tell him we accept." The stars seemed brighter that night, as if they too were watching more closely now. The following morning, Eric and Lisa boarded a small shuttle that took them to Xandar's ship. The inside of the alien vessel looked nothing like they expected. Instead of cold metal and blinking technology, the walls seemed alive, pulsing with soft light and colors that shifted with their moods. "Our technology merges with biology," Xandar explained as he led them through curved hallways, "much like what humans could someday achieve." They entered a large circular room with a pool of silvery liquid at its center. Floating above the pool were three-dimensional images of human brains, rotating slowly. "These are scans we've taken of human minds over the past century," said Xandar. "We've been studying your evolution closely." Dr. Allison Carter, a neurobiologist who had joined their group that morning, stepped forward with wide eyes. "You've been scanning us without permission." "Only surface patterns, nothing invasive," Xandar assured her. "We needed to confirm the development of the divine potential." Xandar waved one of his four hands, and the brain images changed, showing networks of neural connections lighting up in patterns that resembled starbursts. "This is what makes humans special," he said. "Your neural pathways have evolved to create quantum connections that can influence matter and energy directly." Dr. Carter shook her head. "That's impossible. The human brain doesn't have that capability." "May I demonstrate?" Xandar asked. When she nodded, he placed a small crystal device on the table. "Place your hand on this and think of a simple shape." Dr. Carter hesitantly put her hand on the crystal. Nothing happened at first, but then a faint blue cube appeared floating above the device. "I was thinking of a cube," she whispered. "The device simply amplifies what your mind can already do," Xandar said. "With training, humans could do this without any technology at all." Eric crossed his arms. "If we have this ability, why haven't we discovered it ourselves?" "Your species is young," Xandar replied, "and your potential is buried beneath layers of more immediate neural functions. It would take generations to discover this naturally. Unfortunately, your civilization may not have generations left." Back on Earth, Dr. Carter set up a laboratory with equipment provided by Xandar. She gathered 20 volunteers for initial tests. The results confirmed everything the alien had claimed. Human minds could indeed affect quantum fields in measurable ways. A week later, world leaders gathered at the United Nations to hear Xandar's full explanation. "The universe is fundamentally conscious," Xandar told them. "What you call physical laws are actually more like thoughts held by a greater mind. Species with divine potential can learn to change these thoughts." He showed them recordings of the 3 other species with similar abilities. One looked like giant feathered serpents, another like crystalline trees. The third appeared almost human, but with elongated heads and 6 fingers on each hand. The Kethera, the third species, destroyed themselves 1,000 years ago, Xandar said solemnly. "Their civil war created a tear in reality that swallowed 3 star systems and billions of lives." Lisa leaned forward. "You're saying our internal conflicts could cause similar damage?" "Worse," said Xandar. "Your potential is stronger than theirs was. If humans collapse while beginning to manifest these abilities, the consequences would be felt across the galaxy." Dr. Carter presented her preliminary findings to the assembly. "I've confirmed that human consciousness can create measurable effects at the quantum level. These effects grow stronger when humans work in harmony and focus on the same goal." The Chinese representative raised a hand. "Can this power be weaponized?" A heavy silence fell over the room. Xandar's silver-blue skin darkened slightly. "That question," he said quietly, "is precisely why we are concerned." Outside the UN, crowds had gathered. Some carried signs welcoming the alien visitor, while others demanded he leave Earth. News channels broadcast conflicting theories about Xandar's true intentions. That evening, Eric found Lisa on the roof of their hotel, looking at the stars. "Do you believe him?" Eric asked. Lisa nodded. "I do. The question is, what do we do with this information? If humans really have this potential, everything changes. Or maybe," Eric said, "this is just who we always were, and we're finally seeing ourselves clearly." In her lab across town, Dr. Carter watched in amazement as a volunteer lifted a pencil an inch off the table using only his mind and Xandar's crystal enhancer. The implications were staggering. Humanity stood on the edge of becoming something entirely new. 2 weeks after Xandar's arrival, Eric, Lisa, and Dr. Carter received an unexpected invitation. Xandar asked them to represent humanity at a meeting with the Celestial Council, the governing body of advanced species in the galaxy. "You want us to go to space?" Eric asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "To the center of the galaxy," Xandar confirmed. "The journey would normally take thousands of years, but our ships can fold space. We will arrive in 3 days." The Earth governments argued for hours about whether to accept the invitation. In the end, they agreed, but with conditions. The 3 humans would carry recording devices and emergency beacons. They would stay no longer than 1 Earth week. On the day of departure, families and officials gathered to say goodbye. Dr. Carter hugged her sister tightly. "Find out everything you can," her sister whispered. "This is the greatest scientific opportunity in human history." The journey began with a flash of light. The humans stayed in comfortable quarters where windows showed them the stunning sight of stars streaking by as the ship moved faster than should be possible. "We don't actually move through space," Xandar explained during a meal of strange but tasty fruit. "We fold it, creating a temporary tunnel between 2 points." On the 3rd day, they arrived at a massive structure floating in the emptiness of space. It looked like a giant snowflake made of crystal and light, with sections rotating in different directions. "The Hall of Voices," Xandar said, "home of the Celestial Council for the last 1,000,000 years." Inside, the humans felt small. The central chamber stretched at least a mile high, with balconies and platforms filled with beings of every imaginable shape and form. Some looked almost human, others like nothing they had ever seen before. Beings made of light, crystal, gas, and forms they couldn't even understand. "The Council has been watching Earth for centuries," Xandar told them as they approached a raised platform in the center. "Today, you will hear their decision about humanity's future." 7 beings sat in a semicircle on the platform. Each looked completely different from the others. One appeared to be made entirely of flowing water. Another resembled a giant insect with glowing eyes. A third was simply a pulsing orb of golden light. The water being spoke first, its voice somehow clear despite having no visible mouth. "We welcome the human representatives. I am Aquarius, first speaker of the council. We have monitored your species since you first used tools." The glowing orb pulsed brighter. "I am Luminax. We have debated long about your kind. Some believe you show great promise. Others see only danger. Why do we matter so much to you?" Lisa asked, her diplomatic training helping her remain composed. "Because the universe has rules," said the insect-like being. "Species with divine potential can break these rules. This can lead to creation or destruction beyond imagination." Aquarius moved forward, its water body rippling. "The last species with your level of potential destroyed 3 star systems when their abilities awakened during a time of war. Billions died. We have watched your wars, your environmental damage, your divisions," said a 4th council member, a being made of twisting vines and flowers. "Yet we have also seen your art, your compassion, your ability to learn and grow." The council members looked at each other, communicating silently. Then Aquarius spoke again. "We have reached a decision. Humanity will be given 1 Earth year to demonstrate progress towards stability. You must reduce conflicts, address environmental damage, and begin controlled development of your potential." "And if we fail?" Eric asked. "Then Earth will be quarantined," said Luminax, the golden orb. "No contact with any other species, No travel beyond your solar system for 5,000 years. Several council members had wanted harsher measures, Xandar explained later. Some had even suggested removing humanity's potential by altering Earth's magnetic field, which would change how human brains developed in future generations. As they prepared for the journey home, Lisa found herself looking at the countless stars visible from the station. 1 year to fix problems we've struggled with for centuries, she said quietly. Eric stood beside her. We have to try. Now we know what's at stake. Dr. Carter joined them, her face determined. And we know what we might become, if we succeed. Their return ship was loaded with gifts from the Council, knowledge and technology to help humans begin to understand their potential. The journey back to Earth felt much shorter than the trip out. They all knew the real challenge was just beginning. The return to Earth brought unwelcome surprises. During their 3-week absence, the world situation had worsened. A major hurricane had devastated the Caribbean. Fighting had broken out between 2 nuclear powers in Asia. Food riots spread across drought-stricken regions of Africa. Eric, Lisa, and Dr. Carter presented their findings to an emergency United Nations session. They explained the Celestial Council's 1-year deadline and shared the advanced technology they had received. These devices can help us clean water, grow food in desert regions, and generate clean energy. Dr. Carter explained, displaying a small silver cube that hums softly. The Council wants us to succeed. Not everyone welcomed this news. A week after their return, a new political movement gained rapid support. Its leader, Kevin Ford, a former energy executive with a commanding presence, appeared on television screens across America. These aliens arrive and suddenly we're on a deadline. Ford said, his voice firm and convincing. They give us toys and expect us to change our entire way of life. This is not help. This is the first step of conquest. Ford's message spread quickly. He claimed the aliens had created Earth's problems to make humans desperate and willing to accept outside control. His supporters called themselves Free Earth. Lisa watched one of Ford's rallies on television with growing concern. He's twisting everything we learned, she told Eric over the phone. If people believe him, we'll never meet the Council's deadline. We need proof that people can understand, Eric replied. Not just words and alien technology. They turned to Dr. Carter, who had set up a research facility in Colorado with international funding. There, she worked with volunteers to test and develop human abilities. We're making progress, she told them during their visit. Look at this. She led them to a room where a young woman sat at a table, focusing on a small plant. The plant's leaves, which had been brown and wilting, slowly turned green again. The woman opened her eyes, looking tired but happy. Beth can heal living things, Dr. Carter explained. We've documented 50 cases of unusual abilities emerging. Usually small things, making plants grow faster, sensing emotions, moving tiny objects. But they're real, and they're getting stronger. News of these abilities spread, creating both hope and fear. Some religious leaders called it a miracle. Others warned of demonic influence. Scientists demanded more rigorous testing. Meanwhile, Kevin Ford's movement grew stronger. He won a special election to the Senate and immediately called for all alien technology to be locked away for proper study. He portrayed Dr. Carter's research as dangerous experimentation. 3 months after their return, Eric attended a global security conference. Representatives from many countries shared worrying reports. The alien presence had intensified existing conflicts rather than united humanity. People retreat to what they know when faced with change, said a Japanese diplomat. And what they know is division and suspicion. That evening, Eric received urgent news. One of the research facilities working with alien technology had been attacked by armed men claiming to be from Free Earth. 3 scientists had died. Lisa joined Eric at his hotel, her face grim. Ford gave a speech today praising the attackers as patriots. He's making this into a war. We need to talk to Xandar, Eric said. The Council needs to know we're trying, but Ford is working against us. They sent a message using the communication device Tandar had left them. 3 days later, the alien Envoy ship appeared in Earth's orbit once again. Sandar met them in a secure military facility. His silvery blue skin seemed paler than before. "The Council is watching," he said. "Many believe your species cannot overcome its divisions. I have been sent to warn you that 6 months have been removed from your deadline. You now have only 3 months remaining." "That's not enough time," Lisa protested. "It must be," Tandar replied simply. "The rifts in your quantum field are already beginning to form. Your conflicting emotions and intentions are affecting reality itself." As they left the meeting, Eric looked up at the night sky. 3 months to save humanity," he whispered. "We need to find a way to show people what's really at stake." Dr. Carter worked day and night in her Colorado facility, which she now called The Awakening. 2 months had passed since Xandar's warning. Only 1 month remained before the Council's deadline. One morning, she gathered Eric, Lisa, and her most promising students in the main laboratory. 20 people sat in a circle, each wearing a thin silver headband, modified versions of the alien technology. "I've discovered something important," Dr. Carter explained. "When we work together, our abilities grow exponentially. It's not about individual power, but collective harmony." She nodded to the group. They closed their eyes and joined hands. In the center of the circle, a dead plant in a pot began to change. Not only did its leaves turn green again, but it grew visibly, sprouting new stems and buds that bloomed into flowers within minutes. "That's incredible," Eric whispered. "It gets better," Dr. Carter said. "Yesterday we healed a nearby stream that had been polluted for decades. The water is now perfectly clean. Local wildlife has already returned." News of these small miracles spread quickly despite Ford's efforts to discredit them as tricks. People began traveling to Colorado to see for themselves. Some stayed to join the awakening, learning to focus their own latent abilities. Lisa organized public demonstrations. In Miami, a group of 50 volunteers combined their abilities to regrow a section of dead coral reef in a single day. Marine biologists confirmed the coral was healthy and thriving. In Arizona, another group made a small patch of desert bloom with native plants. Hope began to grow, but so did opposition. Kevin Ford appeared on national television, his face serious. "These so-called miracles are just the beginning," he warned. "Today they grow plants. Tomorrow they'll control your thoughts. This is not natural human evolution. It's alien manipulation of our biology." Ford's followers grew more aggressive. They surrounded the awakening facility, holding protest signs and chanting. Some carried weapons. Military units were deployed to maintain peace. Inside the facility, Sam Phillips, a quiet young man who had shown remarkable progress, approached Dr. Carter with an idea. "What if we could show everyone what's possible?" he asked. "Not just small demonstrations, but something big enough that no one could deny it." Dr. Carter looked concerned. "The bigger the effect, the more energy it requires from us. It could be dangerous." "More dangerous than failing the Council's test?" Sam asked. Before she could answer, the ground began to shake. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Eric rushed in with a phone in his hand. "A massive earthquake just hit the Pacific," he said. "Magnitude 9.2. Tsunami warnings across the entire ocean." They turned on the news to see devastating footage. The quake had struck near Japan, sending enormous waves toward coastlines around the Pacific Rim. Millions of lives were at risk. Sam stood up. "This is our chance. If we can stop a tsunami, people will have to believe." "It's too big," Dr. Carter protested. "The energy required would be—" "I can channel it," Sam interrupted. "I've been practicing. I think this is why I'm here." After brief but intense debate, they decided to try. Lisa contacted Xandar, who agreed to transport them to a small island in the tsunami's path. From there, Sam might be able to affect the approaching waves. 50 members of the awakening joined hands on the beach, forming concentric circles around Sam. The water had already pulled back from the shore, the first sign that the tsunami was minutes away. Sam closed his eyes. The silver band on his head began to glow brighter than any they had seen before. The others fed their energy to him, their bands glowing in response. Out on the horizon, they could see it coming, a wall of water 60 feet high, racing toward them, and countless coastal cities beyond. Sam raised his hands. The air around him shimmered as if heated. His body began to lift slightly off the ground. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with the same silvery blue light as Xandar's skin. "Now we see what humans can really do," Xandar whispered to Eric and Lisa as they watched from nearby. The tsunami approached, unstoppable and massive. Sam's hands trembled as he reached out toward the wall of water. What happened next would change humanity forever. The massive wall of water raced toward the island. Sam stood with his arms outstretched, his body glowing with silvery blue light. The members of the awakening poured their energy into him, their faces strained with effort. As the tsunami approached, Sam shouted words no one understood. The air in front of him seemed to solidify. The wave hit this invisible barrier and split around it, creating a path of calm water that protected the island and redirected the tsunami's force away from populated areas. For 5 minutes, Sam held the water at bay. Then his light began to flicker. Blood trickled from his nose. With one final push, he collapsed to the sand as the last of the water flowed harmlessly around them. News helicopters circled overhead, broadcasting everything live to a stunned world. No one could deny what they had seen. A single human, supported by others, had stopped a force of nature. Sam remained unconscious for 3 days. When he finally opened his eyes, his first words were, "Did it work?" "Better than we hoped," Eric told him. "You saved millions of lives, and you showed everyone what's possible." The tsunami event changed everything. Thousands of people flocked to awakening centers that opened across the world. Many discovered they too could develop abilities when working together. But Kevin Ford didn't give up. He appeared on television with scientists who claimed that tsunami footage was fake or that alien technology, not human ability, had stopped the wave. "This is the final stage of their plan," Ford declared. "The aliens want us dependent on these powers they've given us. They're creating a new religion with themselves as gods." Ford won emergency elections in 3 more countries. His followers now controlled significant military forces. He declared the awakening a threat to national security and ordered raids on their facilities. 2 weeks after the tsunami, Eric received intelligence that Ford planned to arrest all key members of the awakening. "We need to move everyone to safety," he told Lisa and Dr. Carter. "I have contacts who can help us set up a new base in the mountains." That night, as they prepared to evacuate, Lisa received a message from Xandar. "The Council is impressed by your tsunami intervention," the alien wrote, "but they are concerned about the growing conflict. The deadline remains unchanged, 2 weeks left." They relocated to an abandoned mining complex in the Rocky Mountains. Over 500 awakening members made the journey, bringing their equipment and alien technology with them. On their 3rd day in the mountain sanctuary, they detected multiple aircraft approaching. Ford had found them. He sent 6 military jets, Eric said, watching the radar. "They're carrying bombs." Dr. Carter gathered the most experienced members in the main cave. "We can create a shield like Sam did, but we'll need everyone's help." As the jets approached, 500 people joined hands throughout the cave system. Their combined energy created a dome of shimmering air above the mountain. When the bombs fell, they exploded harmlessly against the shield. The failed attack made headlines worldwide. Ford appeared on emergency broadcasts claiming the awakening had shot down the planes with alien weapons. He declared martial law in America and ordered a full military response. "This is now a war for Earth's independence," he announced. That evening, Xandar's ship appeared above the mountain hideout. The alien looked grim when he materialized inside their base. "The Council has been monitoring events," he said. They've detected quantum fractures beginning to form in your region. Your conflict is damaging the fabric of reality itself. He showed them a hologram of North America with glowing red lines spreading across it like cracks in glass. What do these mean? Lisa asked. The beginning of collapse, Sandar replied. When humans with awakened abilities fight each other, reality itself cannot bear the strain. The Ketharis Civil War began exactly this way. Sam, still weak but recovering, joined them. How do we stop it? You must reach more minds, Xandar said. Not just defend yourselves. The division itself is what threatens everything. Dr. Carter looked thoughtful. Maybe there's a way to show everyone the truth at once. Outside, they could hear the distant sound of helicopters approaching. Ford's forces were coming back, stronger this time. They had perhaps one day to find a solution before the battle for humanity's future would begin in earnest. Dawn broke over the mountain hideout with the sound of helicopters growing louder. Ford's forces had surrounded them completely. Military vehicles blocked all ground exits from the old mining complex. Inside, Dr. Carter gathered everyone in the main chamber. We can't just keep defending ourselves, she said. Each conflict makes the quantum fractures worse. We need a different approach. Eric looked at the tactical displays showing enemy positions. There are too many of them to fight, even with our abilities. Lisa stood up. We're thinking about this wrong. Ford has convinced people we're the enemy. We need to show them the truth, all of them. At once, Dr. Carter's eyes widened. A mass consciousness link. We've only managed it with small groups so far. It's our only chance, Sam said, leaning on a cane. He was still weak from the tsunami event. If we can connect enough minds, they'll see the reality of what's happening. Outside, Ford arrived in a military helicopter. He spoke through loudspeakers, his voice echoing across the mountains. This is your final warning, he announced. Surrender the alien technology and submit to arrest, or we will use deadly force. You have 1 hour to decide. Inside, they prepared quickly. Everyone with any ability would participate. They formed concentric circles around Sam, who had shown the strongest connecting abilities. This will be dangerous, Dr. Carter warned. We're attempting to create a psychic link with thousands of minds simultaneously. The strain could kill some of us. If we fail, we all die anyway, Lisa said. And Earth gets quarantined for thousands of years. Xandar joined them in the circle. I will add my strength to yours. The Council must see that humans can overcome their divisions. As Ford's 1 hour deadline approached, they began. 500 people closed their eyes and joined hands. The silver bands on their heads glowed brightly. Sam sat in the center, his face tight with concentration. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the air in the chamber began to shimmer and pulse. Outside, soldiers preparing to attack suddenly stopped moving. Many put their hands to their heads. Some dropped their weapons. Similar scenes played out across the country, then around the world. Millions of minds connected briefly to the collective consciousness of the awakening. Through this connection, people experienced what Sam and the others knew. They felt the truth of Xandar's warnings. They saw the quantum fractures spreading across reality. They understood what was at stake. The connection lasted only 2 minutes before Sam collapsed, blood streaming from his nose and ears. The effort had nearly killed him. But it had worked. Outside, soldiers were lowering their weapons. Many sat down on the ground, overwhelmed by what they had experienced. Ford himself stood frozen beside his helicopter, his face pale. Dr. Carter rushed to Sam's side. His pulse was weak, his breathing shallow. "We need medical help," she shouted. At that moment, the quantum fractures that had been spreading became visible to everyone. The sky above the mountains seemed to crack like glass, showing strange colors and impossible geometries beyond. "It's beginning," Tandar said, his voice filled with dread. "The collapse we feared. Your consciousness link showed everyone the truth, but it also accelerated the fracturing process." Eric stared at the cracks in the sky. "How do we stop it?" "You can't," Xandar replied, "Not by fighting it. The only way now is to embrace your full potential, to transcend." Ford walked into the mountain chamber, no longer looking like a confident leader. His hands trembled. "I felt it," he said. "Everyone felt it. I was wrong about you, about everything." "It's too late for apologies," Lisa said, pointing to the widening cracks visible through the cave entrance. "Reality is breaking down." Dr. Carter looked up from Sam's unconscious form. "There's one thing we haven't tried. The full awakening of our divine potential." "How?" Eric asked. "By truly uniting," she answered. "Not just connecting minds, but merging consciousness completely. Becoming one mind with many bodies." Xandar nodded slowly. "That is how the God-born species before you ascended. But the risk is enormous. If you fail, the collapse will accelerate beyond any hope of control." Outside, the cracks in reality grew larger. Strange winds began to blow, carrying whispers in languages no human had ever heard. They had hours, perhaps minutes, before the damage became irreversible. The mountain shook as reality continued to fracture. Strange lights poured through the cracks in the sky. Everyone could feel it now. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath. Dr. Carter worked quickly, arranging everyone in a new pattern. Even Ford and his soldiers joined the circles, no longer enemies but allies in the face of extinction. "We need to form a single consciousness," she explained. "Not just a temporary link, but a true union of minds." Sam lay in the center, still unconscious but breathing. Dr. Carter placed her hands on his head. "His mind is already open from the previous connection. He can be our anchor point." Eric and Lisa sat on either side of Sam. Around them, hundreds of people formed spiral patterns across the cave floor. The silver bands on their foreheads had begun to melt, flowing like liquid metal down their faces without burning them. "When we begin," Xandar said, "there is no turning back. You will either transcend or collapse entirely." Lisa looked at the alien. "Is this what you wanted all along? For us to reach this point?" Xandar's silver-blue skin rippled. "The Council suspected humans might be ready. Your crisis merely accelerated the process." Outside, the fractures grew larger. Through them, strange landscapes and impossible colors were visible, other dimensions bleeding into their reality. "We have to start now," Dr. Carter said. Everyone closed their eyes. The liquid metal from their bands flowed together, creating a network of silvery lines connecting every person to Sam. The air hummed with energy. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Sam's eyes snapped open, glowing with intense white light. His voice sounded different, deeper, resonant, as if many people were speaking through him. "We see," he said. The light from Sam's eyes spread, flowing along the silver network to each person in the cave. One by one, their eyes opened, all glowing with the same light. Their separate minds began to merge into a single consciousness. "We understand now," they said in perfect unison. "We are one." The collective consciousness grew stronger. It spread beyond the cave, touching minds across the mountain, then the country, then the world. Not forcing connection this time, but inviting it, offering unity without erasing individuality. Millions joined willingly, then billions. Earth itself seemed to respond, the ground steadying beneath them. The human collective reached out to the fractures in reality, not fighting them but understanding them. Reality wasn't something separate from consciousness. It was created by it, shaped by it. The cracks began to heal as billions of minds focused on wholeness. Xandar watched in amazement. "You are doing it. You are transcending." The collective spoke through Sam. "We see the pattern now. The universe is not just alive. It is made of consciousness. The gods did not create the universe. The universe created the gods." Ford, now part of the collective, looked at his hands in wonder. "I feel everyone. Their hopes, fears, dreams, all different, yet all connected." The light spread further, touching even those who had refused the connection. Not forcing them, but showing them they were already part of something greater. The fractures sealed completely. The sky returned to normal, but humanity had changed forever. 7 days later, ships appeared in Earth's orbit. The full Celestial Council had come to witness what had happened. They found a world transformed. Humans still lived individual lives, but all carried awareness of their connection. War had ended overnight. Environmental healing had begun at an astonishing pace. The divine potential had awakened in every human, allowing them to reshape their world through collective intent. Xandar stood with Eric, Lisa, and a fully recovered Sam as they prepared to meet the Council on Earth's surface. "You have achieved in days what took other species centuries," Xandar said. "You are the first new God-born race in 1,000,000 years. We couldn't have done it without you," Lisa said. Xandar's skin rippled in what they now recognize as laughter. Perhaps that was always the plan. Perhaps the universe itself arranged our meeting. As the council ships descended, Sam looked up at the stars with new eyes. He could feel the consciousness of the universe flowing through him, through all humanity. They had nearly collapsed, but instead had transcended. "This is just the beginning," he said. Earth glowed with new light that night, light visible from across the galaxy. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, not as conquerors or victims, but as caretakers. The gods had not merely shuddered, they had welcomed new members to their ranks.